What scientific breakthrough are we closer to than most people realize? Earthquake warning system up to 2 hours. Permanent GPS antennas are located all over the world and more densely at fault zones. About a year ago, geologists found that if they stacked all historical GPS data proximal to large earthquakes, they saw there is a very small acceleration of the surface about 2 hours before the actual earthquake. We are literally only missing the technology to make even more precise GPS measures so we can do this in real time on singular regions. It is proven that this is an actual thing that happens, and we can literally warn of earthquakes with a significant time span. And the land movement is so subtle that only by lumping all the data together did the precursor stand out, Blettery says. If you just remove 1 or 2 quakes, you still see it, he says. But if you remove half, it's hard to see. This is not a solution or has saved any lives, but it is an absolutely staggering discovery that will have an insane focus in the upcoming years. HTTPS. Early diagnosis and treatment of Parkinson's, I think. I've been following a story for a few years now of a woman who could smell Parkinson's and is now working with researchers to turn her weird unique ability into an early screening test. Insanely effective cancer treatments. Cell therapy is absolutely crazy, and it's available for a fair few diseases. Growing transplantable organs. A cure for HIV seems to be on the horizon. Some scientists managed to cut it out of cells using CRISPR last year. I have a lot of family that works in different pharma companies. We were recently discussing that there is a very promising treatment for Alzheimer's in the works that could stop the progression of the disease and maybe reverse some of the brain damage. It's still in testing phase and wouldn't be on the market for years, but it's something that would be awesome to be able to use. This is rather an engineering issue, but a lot of scientists are working on this as well. RGB micro LED displays. We can currently build fairly efficient blue and green micro LEDs from indium gallium nitride, but the red ones are missing. Red LEDs have been available for much longer than their blue counterparts, but we currently cannot make them small enough for a high PPI display. Many researchers and companies are trying to get the red ones working with several different approaches, and I believe we will see the first commercial applications, starting from smartwatches, smartphones and AR goggles within the next 5 years. Synthetic biology. Shit's going to get weird real soon. Genetic editing. I think we'll soon see news of experimental gene therapy treatments for cancer, diabetes and, perhaps, Alzheimer's, CRSPR9 and all. The next logical step would be designer babies. Brain-computer interface. I worked on one 10 years ago. It barely worked, but you could see the potential. However, a few weeks ago someone played a 6-hour Civilization 6 session using only their brain. Curing addiction with a diet drug GLP-1s. There have been lifelong alcoholics, drug addicts, people with eating disorders, gamblers, etc. who've lost all desire for these things while on Ozempic, Wegovy, and semaglutide. They are conducting studies already. Understanding how hormones and mental illness are linked, especially in women who previously were diagnosed with mental illness, but who had endocrine disorders. And to add, menopause. In response to the Lancet's awful claim of over-medicalization, scores of researchers the world over have doubled down to learn more. Checked the top posts for hair loss treatments and there was nothing mentioned. Going to go cry now. A technological leap forward in battery storage capacity, cheaper and lighter weight. This will have the biggest impact on everyday life. Semaglutide, Ozempic, Wegovy in pill form at a greatly reduced price. Wegovy also has been proven to reduce cardiovascular disease in particular, and make recurring cardiac events less likely for patients who've already experienced a cardiac event. Some independent pharmacies are already creating semaglutide pills. A nuclear fusion reaction that sets a new record for duration or temperature. Large-scale water desalination. It may seem trivial to most people, but access to fresh water and water purification are the largest problems on the planet. Desalination has been extremely expensive for years and never has the investment needed to break the scalability barrier. Well, our friends in the Middle East claim to have made some huge accomplishments over the last few years thanks to graphene and access to abundant power. Their new plan should be coming online next year. Not having to worry about access to clean water would mean massive jumps in agriculture, industrialization, and population. To-go containers for French fries that will keep them both hot and crispy. To not be able to trust any digital images, videos, or audio you see anywhere. Politics are going to go straight into a dumpster fire among countless other scandals, relationships, and virtually everything. Get ready. The breakthrough happened cleaning the oceans of garbage. Now it needs to be more than a ship or two. A cure for or the reversal of Alzheimer's. There was just a 60-minute special about the work one hospital system is doing, and it implied we're about 4 years away. Just a few days ago, quantum data was stored and transmitted for the first time, so that's pretty exciting. Source: https://interestingengineering.com. Innovation device stored retrieve quantum data. They are hoping that a new drug will be available for use by 2030 that essentially grows your teeth back. It stimulates stem cells in your tooth pulp and encourages growth. Also, to my understanding, this drug was originally being tested as an Alzheimer treatment in Japan. I think people are underestimating the impact that these weight loss drugs are going to have. Once they are generic in 10 years, they'll be changing our entire medical system. People will no longer suffer all the effects of obesity, so rates for things like obesity-related heart disease, various cancers, diabetes, etc. should all plummet pretty dramatically. We'll have an enormous economic and demand impact on the medical system. The drugs are also a potentially effective treatment for addiction as well. Studies are underway as we speak. Artificial wombs already have biobag wombs used on premature sheep and pigs. Soon to go to human trial for premature babies in the USA. Probes eventually will be able to support a fetus earlier and earlier in gestation over time. Cool stuff.